How you going, people? Talk about a little bit of body language. Got a couple comments about reading it. I guess it's second nature for cops, but most people understand a little bit. I'll go over a few things that are kind of particular when you're looking for aggressive moves, etc. Some of the things I'll go over is the hands, the eyes, the stance, the feet, the demeanor, the tone, the words, or the words equaling action. And I've mentioned before the 1,000-yard stare, target glance, or if a person is leaning in or out. So let's talk about some of that. See if I can get out here and discuss that. And I got a gun on because I'm going to show you about just body language if you approach somebody and you're talking to somebody with a gun. And cops use this a lot. So in the academy, cops are taught body language is huge. Okay, there's different standards out there, but most people will go 75 to 85% of communication is your body language. Now, communication is normally a sender, a message, a receiver, and feedback. And that's the kind of model for communication. So you have a message, and you have a sender of that message, you have a receiver of that message, and then you're reading feedback, either verbal or nonverbal cues, that's going to tell you whether the person gets it. Okay? Put your fucking hands up. Guy goes, no English. Okay? So, I'm the sender. I said, put your fucking hands up. The message was, put your hands up. I don't know who you are. I'm nervous. I want to make sure your hands are clear. The receiver gives me feedback, no English. And he puts his hands forward. He doesn't comply. So, we have a bad communication there. So, communication has to constantly be modified or changed in order to make sure your message is being received. Okay, as an instructor, and again, I got my bachelor's in education, and you know, when you're teaching on how to in education and teaching, so, and I taught at academy and I taught at colleges, etc. So when you're teaching, you have to adjust, or if you're giving a speech as a politician or whatever, you want to adjust your content of your message to your audience. I'm going to talk different to people that believe in Santa Claus or liberals than I will to adults who can think and critically think than I would to cops who I know are on the same page. I'm not going to talk to a group of lawyers like I would talk to a group of cops because I would lose them. They would be like, well, what is this? You know, both of them would be like, what the hell? So, again, you have to change what your message is depending on who you're talking to. So when you communicate, since 75 to 80% is non-verbal, most people understand this. Okay? They know. If you point a gun at me, I know you're either going to shoot me, you better be in charge, you better have a good reason, or it's time for me to go to my gun, go to cover, or I'm about to get shot if I just stand there and do nothing. So, again, there would be other factors in that message. Is the person wearing a uniform? Is he undercover? Does he look like a cop? Is he saying something when he points a gun? Is he looking at me or is he looking at a guy behind me? I can tell if I'm pointing a gun at you or I'm pointing a gun behind you. You should be able to tell the difference between these 2 points. This is pointing at you at the camera. This is pointing behind you, looking at something on the table behind the camera. There is a difference, and those are minor cues that as you develop this critical eye and this survival instinct, you're going to pick up. Okay, I always go back to horses. They're masters at noticing change in their environment. You can't do anything. If I go out there and I move something in the pasture, my horse is going to be like, that wasn't there when we left, that wasn't there before. It could be a lion tiger, it could be something waiting to ambush us. We got to figure out what that is before we get too close. They are just masters at understanding their environment and any changes in their environment. So humans, because we get in this safe zone and we think we're running around in liberal land where everybody's safe and we're protected and we don't need guns because government will just fly in and save the day and give us free stuff, we lose our instinct to be alert and to be aware of dangers and to recognize dangers and to avoid things that we see because we're just walking and, you know, you go back to my color zones, we're in our white zone. You know what, I just got to go to the store, I got to get this, I got to leave, I got to go. I don't have time to be looking at people's eyes and bodies and all that. So, let's talk about the hands a little bit. The hands will, a lot of people communicate with their hands. I use my hands a lot. A lot of people say, man, if you tied your hands, you couldn't talk. But Hands will tell you a lot. Is somebody being aggressive, or are they being friendly, or are they being You know, if I stick my hand out like this, I could be waiting to shake your hand. But if I stick my hand out like this, I'm sending a different message. Even though I could be wanting to shake your hand, I've got the wrong hand, I'm pointing at something, I'm looking at something, not looking at you in the eye. So messages change depending on a body language. So when you're looking at somebody's hands, and cops have been teaching this for years, some academies are like, watch the hands. The hands will kill you. The eyes won't kill you, the body won't kill you, nothing will kill you. If something kills you, it's going to come from the hands. And then you have the martial artists who say, watch the feet. The feet are just changed hands. Somebody knows how to use their feet, can kick your head out, can kick your gun, can break your leg. So they have their watch the feet. And then you have this other philosophy, watch the eyes. The eyes will tell you what the body's going to do. Wherever the eyes are looking, what the eyes are saying, only watch the eyes. I mean, I don't think any of them are right. I think you need to look at the whole thing, totality of circumstances, and you need to catch clues from all those. What are the feet doing? What are the hands doing? What are the eyes doing? What are the nonverbals? What are the verbals? All these things will start happening very quickly the more you do it. So when somebody's hands, again, the hands are connected to the bodies, they're connected to the arms. So my hands like this will not be as dangerous if I change my stance and my hands are like this. Just by changing my stance, I totally change my body position on what I'm sending. This is not friendly, would you like to go have a drink? This might be, hey man, you want to go have a drink? But just by changing my feet stance, my shoulders, getting that bladed stance, squatting down, getting that 60-40 boxer stance, that boxer move, that fighting stance that cops refer to a lot when we use force. The person who took up a boxing stance or a fighting stance. That means a guy went from, hey officer, to this. That's a fighting stance. So when I put that in report, most people would understand that. And that would allow me to use more force. Someone might say, well man, you can't just use force because the guy puts his hands in the right position. Well, again, totality of circumstances. What was he communicating? What was I contacting for? Did he recognize me as a cop? Was it by myself? When he took the fighting stance, did he say, come on motherfucker, I'm going to beat your ass? All those things will come into play, and that gives you a total picture, totality of circumstances, not individual thing. I love when people come here and comment, and they pick up one sentence I say in a 20-minute video and go, you're full of shit. And they totally ignore everything else I said. Everything is encompassing, and it's all changing and constantly evolving, and you have to be flexible. You know, you can't have one standard plan, because plans are great until the first shot's fired and then it goes to hell. So the hands are important to watch. The eyes are important to watch. Okay? If I'm talking to you and I'm looking at the camera now, and you should be able to tell that my eyes are looking at the camera, I'm talking to you, and I'm moving and I'm acknowledging, versus if I'm talking to, now I'm talking to you. My tone has changed, my voice, my body. I'm totally ignoring, I'm totally oblivious of my thing. I'm standing straight, odd. It's not natural. So when body position and body language has a lot to do with what's natural, what's normal in this environment. So abnormal body language would be something to evaluate and say, what's the cause? If a guy's walking with a big chest and he's walking like this and he's holding something with a wire, we call that a clue. Okay, most people don't run around with something in their hand with their finger on a trigger and a wire going to something bulky around their chest. If a guy broke his back and he has a back brace and he's got a cane and he's walking like that, it may not be a problem. So, you know, when I get some of these questions sometimes, it's kind of like, I tell people, I was like, you know, people write me and go, how do you train a horse? Or how do you get your horse to, you know what, it's like calling somebody who's built houses for 20 years, says, hey man, I need to build a house, and they write you an email. Can you tell me how to build a house, right? You just can't you can't put years of experience, education, multiple advisors and different people, you can't answer that. So I can't answer, hey man, what's a good body position? Just can't do it. So the more you understand it, the more variables you know that it can exist, the more you learn to read and watch, the better you're going to be able to convert body language to a language that you can understand. So the eyes, again, eyes go back to target glance, 1,000-yard stare. 1,000-yard stare, very blank face, not acknowledging, staring off like they're 1,000 yards away and they can't see anything. That's a clue. That's not good. There's not going to be much communication there. You can talk till you're blue in the face. Once you figure out a guy's on a 1,000-yard stare, you need to start doing something else besides talking, because it just ain't going to work. Target glance. If I'm talking to you and you're getting eye contact and we're doing this and we're doing that, and you have a gun right there on your hip, and all of a sudden I'm talking, I'm like, yeah, you know, officer, I don't want any problems. And then I pause and I look at that gun, and I look at your gun, and I get my hands, or I change my stance, or I lean a little forward when I look down. All those are clues to the body language. Hey, keep your distance. Get people away. I don't want you in lunging distance. Stay back. If I'm getting these negative cues, my hand's going on my gun, I'm getting you to stay back, because, you know, the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and like, you know what? Just in case this guy comes, I'm going to want to be able to create distance, get my gun out, and fire if I have to. So, body language, again, the eyes is good. Stance, we got the fighting stance, we've got a friendly stance, a non-threatening. We've got a I don't want to talk to you stance. We've got a rocking back and forth stance to where a guy's like, I'm about fed up listening to this shit. I don't want to hear this. Somebody starts moving back and forth on their heels and toes and starts giving you that attitude. Their arms are folded. You got problems. You're amping up to some sort of aggressive. He's not receiving you. This isn't going well. He's not really believing or buying what you're saying. He don't want to hear it. Other body language for lying, when we're picking up people for lying. Hands by the face and mouth. You know, as a kid, speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. If somebody's telling a lie, or they think they're hearing a lie, or they think you're full of shit, a lot of times their hand will go by their ear. So if you want to test this, tell a bullshit story to where you're lying about something and watch the person, and their hand will probably, as soon as they figure out you're full of shit, will probably start going, you know what, when's this thing going to end? They're kind of either holding in their comment to say you're full of shit, they're saying, I don't want to hear this, I think you're bullshit, or I just don't want to hear it. So the hands close to the face, ears, and mouth in an interview situation can tell you whether or not a guy. I've seen guys I was talking to, I say, man, all I'm going to do is run you for a warrant. If you're clear, you're going to be out of here. And as soon as I say that, they start doing this. And they start looking around. And their stance stains, and I see them looking for escape paths. All those are body language clues that this guy has a warrant, because as soon as I told him I was running for a warrant, he knows the warrant's going to come back. So he's immediately like, shit, I didn't want to hear this, I don't want to have him say this, and I got to find me an escape path because I'm going to run. So those are body language or stances that I would be reading depending on the conversation. Again, and sometimes I would set these up intentionally. The guy would be like, pretty cool, everything, and I'd be like, man, there's just something not right, but you know what? Let me see if he's got a warrant. I'm going to tell him I'm going to run him. I may not even run him. I want to see his reaction when I tell him he's going to run him. And I'll look at his heart rate, I'll look at him start sweating, I'll look at his stance, I'll look at the vein in his neck start popping because his heart rate goes up. All these things are clues that I'm looking at, and I'm reading my suspect saying, you know what? I just hit a nerve. So, you know, and again, other things I would do as a cop is to get somebody to say, hey man, you're on parole, I've seen you before. I don't know the guy from anybody, I don't know if he's on parole or not. But he thinks that I know him or recognize him, so he's less likely to lie. Yeah, man, I was on parole, but I got off last year. Cool. I didn't know that, but now I know it. Because I threw out misinformation to get him to think that I knew something I didn't, and I wanted to see his response. You know, hey, weren't you arrested a couple months ago? Most people I contacted, they'd be answering yes. So, I mean, that would be a pretty good stance. And I'd say, what was that for? And then they would tell me. Versus if I went, okay, are you on parole probation? No, officer, I haven't done anything. Okay, you ever been arrested? No, sir, I've never been. You know, if I went down my little list and just talk like that, I'd get different answers. And if I was just writing down and not looking at them, I would miss these target glances for where my escape path is, or, oh shit, that's a bad answer. Oh no, he just caught me. Oh no, he knows me. Oh no, he knows that I was arrested. Oh, you know, so feet goes back to stance. Again, that boxer stance, you're getting their feet, you're ready to run. You know, I've had guys, I'm talking to them and I'm doing this, and all of a sudden they want to start tightening up their shoes. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Oh man, my shoelace is loose, I'm just tightening. I go, dude, you're about to run, don't bullshit me. No man, I just need to boom, and they're off like a rabbit. So, I mean, again, the more times that people tie their shoes and run, you kind of learn that. You pick up on these clues quicker. So, demeanor, again, is a guy cooperative? Is he a no person, a yes person, or a maybe person? Is he faking being a yes person, and he's really a maybe person, but he's just kind of like playing with you to see how much he'll take? Does he know the game? If somebody calls me boss, I automatically know they've been to the joint. Especially if we're in down south area, because in the south, if you call somebody boss, In the prison, a lot of times you call the guards boss. So these parolees pick up this lingo, and when they get outside, anytime they contact people with authority, they go, oh yeah, boss, there ain't no problem. Oh yeah, boss, and they throw boss in. So as soon as I hear boss, I know this guy's been in the joint, he's a prior convicted felon, he's either on parole, he's been arrested. I know I'm not dealing with Joe Citizen on his way to work, you know, paying taxes, doing his shit. Tone, again, is the guy monotone? Is he excited? Does his tone change? Is he communicating what is normal? Everything comes back to normal. Is it normal for, you know, if his tone doesn't match his demeanor, if his stance doesn't match his hands, if his eyes don't match his feet, all these things are constantly evaluating on body language. But a lot of body language is just sitting and watching people. I mean, when you're out, and if you go to a mall, and you know, I don't go to malls much anymore, but if I go to a mall, I'm always people watching. I'm watching people who are couples, who are new couples, and they're all lovey-dovey, holding hands, kissing. I'm watching older couples who kind of ignore each other. I'm watching kids, how they respond to one parent and the other parent, and how when one parent says something or they do something one parent isn't watching. I'm watching kids when they get in groups versus by themselves. I'm watching insecure women who walk with their head down. They just want to get to one spot. They don't want to see anybody. I'm watching other women who are flirting and flancy, and they're showing off their shit. So I'm always kind of watching body behavior in there. So I'm going to notice somebody that's acting what I consider odd. Somebody that's carrying a gun or trying to conceal a gun or adjusting their pants because the gun is on it or doing. So I just sit around and watch and observe people anywhere I go. It's just become second nature to me. But if you want to get your body language better, try to pick out who's arguing, who's giving off a defensive demeanor. Try to predict what's going to happen next from these people. Because, I mean, I'll be in a restaurant, I guarantee you, I'll see a couple over there. They're not talking, they're kind of serious. I'll see the guy get irritated or something. I'll be like, they're going to be in a fight in about 5 minutes. And sure enough, you know, within a minute, one of them storming off, the other one's, well, you didn't, and they're trying to keep it quiet, but I already saw it. I knew it was coming because I can just tell the way they were looking, the way they were distancing themselves, the way they were eating their food and holding their forks, everything that they were doing, I was just like, there's some tension there. And you can do this. This isn't like miracle stuff. This isn't like this is just learning to observe people, and cops become better at it because our life depends on it. I always say horses are the greatest survivors. Why? Because their life depends on it. Everything they do depends on not getting eaten or trapped because they're a prey animal and people are trying to eat them. Lions, tigers, coyotes, whatever. They know that they're food for other animals. Deer, same way. Great survivors. They don't miss nothing. They're always looking around. They hear something, they freeze. So, as a cop, you learn to develop that behavior and demeanor where you're always reading people's body language. You know, and I do it with cops around cops will do it. You know, you look at your supervisor, oh shit, man. It's just about to hit the fan, something happened. He's got bad news. He's having bad times. This ain't going to be good. He'll read something and be like, shit. Or like, uh-oh, here it comes. Something's bad. You know? Or when you get called in the office and your boss is sitting back there smiling, working on something, he says, have a seat, is different than when you walk in, he's sitting there with a folder. He's got his arms crossed, he goes, have a seat. You know that as soon as you walk in, you're kind of like, okay, this isn't going to be good. So, again, body language, it all comes together, totality of circumstances, words not matching action. I mean, you know, when a guy goes, I don't want any problems. No, I'm cool. No, it's all right. And he's telling you with his hands, stay back, don't approach me, you better keep your distance. I don't want you getting close. But then he's talking his words like, oh no, man, I'm cooperative, it's cool. Oh no, everything's fine. Everything's great. No, I'm good. You know, words aren't matching his actions. And that's a clue, and you better catch it, or you're going to be surprised or blindsided. So, you know, eyes, hands, stance, feet, demeanor, tone, words, I just covered some of them. I didn't go online and do an outline or anything. I was just kind of like, well, I got some stuff cooking on the oven. Let me go knock this out in 20, 30 minutes. And I figure I would cover it. So hopefully you got something out of it. If I didn't, I'll try to answer the questions in the comments. And, you know, that's body language. My body language, when I walked over here, if you notice, I knew I was finished. I knew I was done, and I was walking over to turn on the camera. I was not walking over here to take out somebody. You see the difference? Okay, let me show you. Oh, I know some liberals watch this channel. Okay, I'm pretty much done. I'm going to turn off the camera. Got it? Remember that. Okay? Something's going down, and I need to get involved. See the difference? Different body language, different movement, different stance, different eye look, shoulders, feet position, tone, everything. All right, we'll end that there. Smokey left today. I don't know where he was up there earlier and then he left. All right, we'll end that there.